first pitch at Miller. And all alike have the opportunity to sit comfortably in Miller Park as the Pittsburgh Pirates will be taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. Milwaukee, certainly behind Ken Macha, will look for that three-game sweep. The lineup that they will face for the Pittsburgh Pirates looks like this. Nyjer Morgan to lead things off for the Pirates and play center field. Batting second and playing second is Freddie Sanchez. Brandon Moss hits third out and left. Adam LaRoche is your first baseman and doing the cleanup duties. Eric Hinsky will play right field and bat fifth. Hitting sixth is Andy LaRoche, the third baseman. Ramon Vasquez hits seventh and plays short. Robinson Diaz hits eighth and does the catching. And Ian Snell will be on the mound and batting ninth. For the Milwaukee Brewers, though, Yovani Gallardo will be getting the start, and certainly, if you're a Brewer fan, you're excited when he takes the hill. 2-1 on the season with a 3.71 ERA. The numbers to look at, though, how about the strikeout to walk ratio there? 23 strikeouts, just 8 walks, and that's in 26 2/3 innings. He has allowed just 19 hits during that span as well. So certainly for the Milwaukee Brewers, it is good to have him on the mound, and even more importantly, the defense behind him will look like this. From third to first, you have Bill Hall, J.J. Hardy over at short. Ricky Weeks is your second baseman, and Prince Fielder over at first. In the outfield, Ryan Braun gets to start out in left, as he always does. Chris Duffy out in center, and Corey Hart over in right. Jason Kendall back behind the plate for the Milwaukee Brewers. Ryan Braun having one of those incredible starts that I think a lot of people are expecting is only going to get better as he ages, and now that he has found himself a home defensively, you have to imagine that his entire game will be one that Brewers fans will enjoy for years to come, as we're about ready to get underway here at Miller Park. Nyjer Morgan steps in. The first pitch he sees is in there for a strike. Morgan on the season hitting .321. He brings a lot of speed, and certainly as far as the Pirates are concerned, a lot of different options once he gets on the base paths. Looks at another strike, so the count now is 0-2. Gallardo won't wait. He gets ahead quickly in the count. Morgan, 11 RBIs already on this young season. The 0-2 pitch on the way. Did he hold up? The ball's in the dirt. A check down to third. And they're going to say he went, so now the throw over to first will be there in time to record the out for Prince Fielder. So Morgan is down on strikes. He can't hold up, and quickly one away. Jason Kendall getting the start behind the plate for Milwaukee. He was trying to get the day off yesterday with Dave Bush on the hill in yesterday's contest. Take another look and see if, in fact, Nyjer Morgan did go. Check over at third says that he did. So with one away, Morgan down on strikes. Kendall trying to get that day off. But with Dave Bush in there, Mike Rivera actually injured himself blocking the plate in the fourth, and Kendall was forced into the game. Otherwise, he would have what Ken Macha is trying to do, which is get a built-in off day every fifth day for Jason Kendall. Ball inside, the count's 1-1 now. Freddie Sanchez steps in for the Pirates. Sanchez, .354 on the season, and we know based on his past experience, he is a batting title winner, that he could swing the bat quite well. Two balls, one strike now to Sanchez. And Sanchez lifts one down the line to right field. Corey Hart moves over. He's there to make the play. And that is the second out of the inning. Gallardo moves fast. Certainly defensively, the Brewers will like that. And that'll bring up Brandon Moss. Top half of the first inning of play, Pirates and Brewers, no score. Moss on the season is a .218 hitter. No home runs and RBI. Gallardo into the windup. He deals. That's down low, ball one. Well, the Pirates have been getting on the board early in this series so far, but unfortunately unable to hold that. Bullpen issues are the number one concern right now for Pittsburgh. The 1-0 pitch. That's just off the plate. The count moves to 2-0. Paul Maholm had himself an early lead delivered by the offense that the bullpen let slip away. Jesse Chavez gave up the eventual deciding home run upstairs. But for John Russell so far, it has all been injuries. Moss gets to start out in left field today. Nyjer Morgan in center. Nate McLouth has been dealing with some oblique injuries, so he has been day-to-day. The Pirates have not and said they will not put him on the disabled list. 3-0 pitches in there for a strike, so the count now is 3-1. But obviously this is a much different lineup as you take a look at the defense, basically straight away from Moss. The 3-1. And that's in there for a strike as well, too. So the count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes, 2 outs here, top of the first. That Pirate offense, much different when McLouth is in there able to do his damage, a 2008 All-Star. The 3-2 pitch on the way. In there for a called strike 3. Moss doesn't like the call, but the Pirates are down 1-2-3 here in the top of the first. Gallardo perfect. We go to the bottom half of the first inning of play here at Miller Park. The Pirates nothing, the Brewers coming to bat. This is MLB.tv. Miller Park the site as the Brewers look to pick up yet another victory over the Pittsburgh Pirates, and if they do so, it'll be because of this lineup. At the top, we talked about Ricky Weeks. He has been real strong so far, and he leads things off for Ken Macha's club. Chris Duffy will bat second and play center field. Ryan Braun is in left field hitting third. Prince Fielder is the cleanup hitter and plays first. Batting fifth is Corey Hart over in right field. J.J. Hardy hits sixth and plays shortstop. The third baseman is Bill Hall batting seventh. The catcher, Jason Kendo, will hit eighth, and Giovanni Gallardo rounds out the lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he will do the pitching. So Ian Snell on the hill for Pittsburgh, and his first pitch to Ricky Weeks is in there for a called strike. Ian Snell on the season, 1-2, a 4.50 ERA. For him, certainly a lot of walks mixed in there to go with his 15 strikeouts, 14 walks, but overall, this is a young arm that the Pirates organization just loves. And what he can certainly do down the road could be something that could benefit this organization. Actually, arms aplenty, basically, in that Pirate organization. Swing and a miss by Weeks, so he is down now in the count. No balls and 2 strikes. Weeks a .268 hitter. And already those 5 home runs, 2 of them coming in this series already. 14 RBIs, and when he gets going, that's good for that Brewers lineup because you only have some big boppers coming up there at 3, 4, and 5. And now Weeks calls time. Snell, again, one of those arms that the Pirates look forward to and seeing what he can do. Paul Maholm, another one of those that, again, struggled after a good start in yesterday's contest. But he shows promise as Weeks taps one foul. Snell threw a no-hitter while in the minor leagues. And he has flashes of that at the major league level as well. Has the stuff to get outs, especially strikeouts, and that's important. But so far, the start to this year, a little bit shaky at times. So Weeks having to rub off a bit of that pitch, that foul ball that hit him, and now the pitch comes in, and this one's down and away. The slider is no good, so ball and 2 strikes. After Weeks is Chris Duffy and then Ryan Braun. You don't want to get into too big a hole if you're Ian Snell with this lineup. Pirates saw, certainly because of their bullpen, what the Brewers can do in late innings. Pitch on the way is hit into right center field. It will stay up, though, and Eric Hinske is there to make the play. So 1 away. So Weeks is down, and that brings up Chris Duffy. Here we take a look at the defense now. Ian Snell on the outfield joining Hinske, Nyjer Morgan, and Brandon Moss from right to left. In the infield, Andy LaRoche, Ramon Vasquez, Freddie Sanchez, and Adam LaRoche. And then Robinson Diaz making his second start of the year behind the plate with Ian Snell doing the pitching. So Chris Duffy, the lefty, steps in with 1 away here in the first. Although Weeks gave it a ride, certainly it was able to hang up just long enough for Hinske to make the play. Snell into the windup, the first pitch. That's inside for a ball, 1-0. Duffy on the season still yet to record a hit. Although, again, because of certain injuries, Mike Cameron usually getting a lot of the duties for the Milwaukee Brewers. He gets the day off. The 1-0 pitch, that's down low, and the count now is 2-0. After Duffy then becomes that tough 3, 4, and 5 part of the order for the Brewers with Braun, Fielder, and Hart. 2 balls, no strikes, the count. Snell delivers, and that's foul back out of play, so the count moves to 2-1. Mike Cameron, by the way, is approaching somewhat of a milestone. Again, unless he gets a pinch hit opportunity later in the game, will stay on the numbers. He already has a home run in the series, 246 for his career. He also has 291 career steals. Therefore, 4 home runs from now for Mike Cameron, and he will become the 20th player in the 250-250 club. One of those players that has been around for a while, has always been fairly consistent, occasionally gets some injury concerns, but when you start looking back at the numbers, you realize just how impressive he's been. Duffy fouls another one back. The count stays at 2-2. Afternoon affair here in Miller Park. Pirates will be off tomorrow. The Brewers welcome in the Diamondbacks for a 4-game series over the weekend. Lots of room down the left field line if Duffy can go the opposite way. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Pitch on the way. And that one's inside, nearly hits the leg of Duffy, so the count moves full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here, bottom of the first. Getting back to Cameron, certainly an impressive career when you look back at the numbers and at the stats. And when he stays healthy, he can basically be slotted just about anywhere in the lineup for Milwaukee. The 3-2, also lifted foul and out of play. Apparently a nice grab by one of the fans down the left field line. Giovanni Gallardo looking for some early offense here. Bottom half of the first inning of play. Snell looks in. The 3-ball, 2-strike pitch. And that's upstairs, so Duffy draws a walk. Well, we mentioned that the walks at times can be high for Snell. And that is his 15th of the season. Take a look at the umpires. Behind home plate is Scott Barry. Mike DeMuro is over at first. Dale Scott at second base, and the third base umpire is Jerry Meals. So with a runner over on first now, that'll bring up Ryan Braun. Braun not only dangerous as he swings through a first pitch, off-speed pitch down in the count 0-1, but is showing it early on here in the season. Look at those numbers. 351 to start the year, 5 homers and 16 RBIs. Expect that those walk totals will only improve, and that is even considering that Prince Fielder is batting behind him in the lineup. Braun, some people's pick for NL MVP in 2009. Duffy takes his lead over at first. Pitch on the way, and that one finds the strike zone. So the count now 0-2. No movement from Duffy over at first. Ken Macha will be given lots of different opportunities. He has Prince Fielder on deck. The opportunities with which he can either hit and run, allow his guys to swing away. Macha there on the right. You saw Willie Randolph, now the bench coach with the Milwaukee Brewers. And Snell delivers the 0-2. Called strike 3, and Ryan Braun is down on strikes. Nice pitching, and that sequence there by Ian Snell to get Braun down 1-2-3. And with 2 away, that'll bring up Prince Fielder. Somewhat of a tailing fastball. Braun just never seemed to have his eyes glued to that one. After the previous couple of pitches, perhaps Braun had his eye level changed, and Snell able to get him down 1-2-3. So 2 outs here in the inning. Duffy still taking his lead over at first, and Prince Fielder looks at a first pitch strike as Snell drops that one in. Getting it ahead in the count once again to some of the big boppers. For Fielder, it's a slower start to his year, 225 on the season, does have 3 homers and 16 RBIs, although it took him some time to get that offense going. 2 away, 0-1 the count. Eventually he'll pick it up offensively too. That batting average will rise as now Snell goes upstairs, and the count moves even to 1-1. Very few holes in the swing of Prince Fielder because he'll swing at just about anything. And if he connects, he can give one a ride. A ball and a strike now to Fielder. 2 outs, bottom of the first, no score. Diaz gives the side at Snell with a check of Duffy over at first. Duffy has some speed. No steals on the season, but he does have some speed. And wouldn't be surprised, especially here in this 2-out situation, to maybe see him on the move. Fielder, because Duffy's over on first, has plenty of room between first and second if he could try to pull one through. But at the same time, obviously, any ball hitting the gap with 2 outs certainly should be reason for Duffy to be able to come around and score. So Snell going to be careful here with Fielder at the plate. Steps off once again. Working with Diaz to get the signs. Fielder and Braun, if they can stay together with this club for a long time, 2 of the top sluggers in the National League. In fact, they have vied left and right for constant awards, accolades, season records. 2 balls and a strike now the count to Fielder. Matter of fact, the 2007 NL Slugging Championship went to Braun just over Fielder by narrow points. So you know that the 2 of the best National League hitters could potentially be on the same team. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs. Bottom of the first inning. That's Duffy over on first. He got on board with a walk. Snell delivers. And that one just misses. Down and in, so the count now moves to 3-1. On deck would be Corey Hart if we get that far. 20 pitches already in the inning for Ian Snell. John Russell would love to see Snell go deep into the ball game, give some of that bullpen a rest. Not only has it been tired, but it hasn't really even been that effective as of late, as the pitch is in there for a strike. So the count once again moves full. 3 balls and 2 strikes now to Prince Fielder. Snell has worked 22 innings so far in his first 3 starts of the season. Not all that bad considering, although, as I mentioned, the walks are high. He has 15 now on the year with the 1 to Duffy. He does have 16 strikeouts, though, with the 1 of Ryan Braun, so he keeps that number fairly high. And the communication between Diaz and Snell apparently has been off, especially during this at-bat with Prince Fielder. The crowd's starting to react to it now. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the first, runner on first. And now Snell deals, and it's down low, ball 4. So a long at bat for Fielder. Duffy was in motion with the play, and he'll take second. So now runners on first and second, and Corey Hart to dig in. One more look at the pitch that put Fielder aboard. Well, Snell never really had good release on that pitch at any point. That was not going to fool Prince Fielder. Well, for John Russell, he has to be concerned early on as Diaz just comes back from a trip to the mound to speak with Snell. He has to be concerned with what he's seen communication-wise. Remember, Diaz making just his second start of the season back behind home plate. The injury to Ryan Doman has been pretty big. And as far as the Pirates are concerned right now in the catcher spot, it is not one of their strengths. Here's the first pitch to Hart. That one down low, never really found the plate. The count now is 1-0. Jason Jaramillo, the other catcher right now for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But both with limited experience, limited major league time. Matter of fact, Jaramillo just made his debut last week. One ball, no strikes, 2 outs. The pitch. That's in there for a strike, and the count moves even, 1-1. Snell in a bit of a jam here in the first. He was able to get Ricky Weeks in a line out to right to start out the inning. He's walked 2, Duffy and Fielder. That's who's on second and first. And now the pitch into Corey Hart just misses, so the count's 2-1. He did get the strikeout of Braun. Outside of the at-bat for Ryan Braun, every batter has been able to work the count on Snell so far here in this inning. 24 pitches so far for Ian Snell. 14 of them for strikes. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs, and once again, Snell steps off. Well, Duffy's done some slight hopping around, but outside of that 3-2 pitch to Fielder has not left his bag. The pitch on the way, and Hart's going to tap that one foul back behind home plate. 2-2. Some early work here for Ian Snell. Robinson Diaz back behind home plate with just his second start. And Snell certainly trying to continue picking up the signs of Robinson Diaz. And not sure if the miscommunication continues, but it certainly appears so by the indication of Ian Snell pointing to his head. Three balls and 2 strikes now the count. John Russell hoping that Snell can get out of this inning without allowing a run and then get the 2 back in the dugout. And from there, figure out what the miscommunication was. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs here in the inning. Snell visibly concerned with what's going on here in the first and continues to shake off Diaz. Pitch on the way, and Hart's going to lift this one into right center field. Hinske moves over, calls off Morgan, and he's there to make the play, so Ian Snell is going to escape. 2 walks in the inning, but also a strikeout. It was a tumultuous one, and one that certainly was not pleasing for Snell, but ultimately a scoreless first frame here between Milwaukee and Pittsburgh. This is MLB.tv. And this was when Ian Snell made his way back into the dugout, going over the scouting report with Joe Kerrigan. Kerrigan, the pitching coach for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Snell was visibly displeased with what happened in the first inning, whether it was communication with Diaz, the catcher, whether it was something in the scouting report that he was not happy with. But Diaz will now also have an opportunity to kind of soak things in and figure out what to do in inning number 2. Meanwhile, it will be 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Pirates here in the top half of the second. Adam LaRoche gets the first pitch, and it's up and away for a ball, 1-0. LaRoche, a .284 hitter in this young season, 5 homers, 14 RBIs. As the second pitch to him is lifted into left center field. Ryan Braun and Duffy both there. Duffy calls off and makes the play, so we have one away here in the top of the second. Well, it's a cause for concern right now for Pittsburgh if Ian Snell can't get on track. Diaz, not much older than Jaramillo. I mentioned Jaramillo made his Major League debut just last week. Well, we're only theoretically 1 year, almost 1 year to the day when Diaz made his Major League debut. So without Domit in the lineup, the Pittsburgh Pirates behind the plate are very, very young. Here's Eric Hinske. We spoke about him at the top of the broadcast, and he looks at a first pitch strike. Hinske could be a great role player for the Pirates. Can fit just about anywhere on the field. Play maybe a little first base. All outfield positions as he laces this one down the right field line. It's just going to get fouled into the seats. Well, for Gallardo, he got a little bit of a rest there after his first inning of work. He has gone a lot quicker in retiring the first 4 batters he has faced. And now once again out ahead of the count, 0-2 here to Eric Hinske. Working with veteran Jason Kendall behind the plate. The 0-2 pitch in there for a called strike 3. A nice curve by Gallardo, and Hinske does not agree with the call, but nevertheless he is out, number 2. That is the 3rd strikeout early on here for Gallardo. Another look at it. And look at the hook coming in and probably caught the edge of the plate. Call was made for out number 2. First pitch strike once again. This is Andy LaRoche, the brother of Adam, as he hits 6th in the order, plays third base. Down in the count, 0-1. Gallardo quickly gets his signs. Once again into the windup. The pitch. Fouled out of play, so once again Gallardo out in front. No balls and 2 strikes to the 6th place hitter, Andy LaRoche. No score early on here in the top of the second between the Pirates and the Brewers. Milwaukee looking for the series sweep. Gallardo deals. And this one's hit pretty well over into right field. Corey Hart, he's back towards the track, just shy of the wall, and he's there to make the play and give away a souvenir. 3 outs quickly here in the second. So for Gallardo, a very successful first 6 batters that he has faced. We go to the bottom half of the second inning of play. Still no score from Miller Park on MLB.tv. Fans on hand in Milwaukee hoping for a Brewers sweep. The dominance has been ridiculous as of late. Milwaukee 14 straight wins overall over Pittsburgh and 17 straight wins at Miller Park over the Pittsburgh Pirates. So numbers like that you just do not see every day as we move to the bottom half of the second inning, and hopefully the woes between Ian Snell and Robinson Diaz have calmed down just a bit. But for Ian Snell, it was a long first inning, although fortunately for him, no runs crossed the plate as J.J. Hardy leads things off. He's ahead in the count 1-0, and the count now even at 1-1. Well, for Snell, it was a lot of pitches, 28 of them to be exact, 16 of them for strikes. He did have that one strikeout. The strikeout of Ryan Braun, very impressive, 3 pitches, and had him fooled the entire time, but it was everybody else who ran the count full. And now the 1-1 just misses, so it's 2-1. So he did have some time to talk in the dugout. We showed you not too long ago the conversation between Snell and pitching coach Joe Kerrigan. Also, Diaz, you would imagine, had an opportunity to hash things out with Snell as well. As Hardy tips it back, counts 2-2. To put that into comparison, Snell's 28 pitches through 1, still more than the 21 that Gallardo threw 2 innings. Yet the score still 0-0, so Snell will hope to settle down. Hardy, just 174 so far in the early part of the season, does have 3 home runs. The starting shortstop for Milwaukee. The 2-2 pitch. And that's in the dirt. Full count once again. Well, at the pace that Snell's going, John Russell, the manager of the Pirates, is going to have no choice other than to go to his bullpen at some point. And it has been bullpen troubles that have hurt the Pittsburgh Pirates, not just in this series, but as of recent after getting off to a fairly decent start. As Hardy skies one to right field. Hinske is there, settles under it to make the play, so we have one away. Well, for Snell, it's been a interesting way of going about his day. He's gone full on all but 2 batters so far here in the first 6 he's faced. 2 have reached via the walk. Nobody's crossed just yet. That brings up Bill Hall. Hall, the third baseman, getting the start for Milwaukee. First pitch he sees is down low, and the count is 1-0. Well, Snell has been certainly working the area around home plate. A lot of pitches in the dirt, making it a tougher day for Diaz behind the plate. Hall, a .297 hitter on the season. The 1-0 pitch. That's in there for a strike. Well, the story of Bill Hall is a difficult one for Bill Hall at times. He knows he has the talent to be that everyday guy, and he's obviously gotten that opportunity to do so. But for a long time, he just fit too well for the Brewers in that utility role. He could play anywhere on the field. The 1-1, broken bat, lifted into left center field for a base hit, so a 1-out single for Bill Hall. Well, Bill Hall able to do exactly what Snell was allowing him to do right off the end of the bat. The broken bat base hit just over the glove of Vasquez into left center field. Not a bad pitch by Snell. It was tailing away from the bat of Hall, but Hall didn't try to do too much with it and served it out into left center field for a 1-out single. Jason Kendall now at the plate for the Brewers. Very much how things went in the first inning for Snell. After getting the first out, the second batter of the inning reaches. Now he'll face Kendall. Check over to Hall at first. Kendall has never been about power. Rarely will you see a number, if one at all, in that home run column. But the average, a little bit lower than he'd like, there at 173. Father Fred played in the major leagues as well. The pitch on the way, that's in the dirt. Another nice block by Diaz. And more importantly, coming with Hall on first, he'll have to stay. Well, Ken Maka has certainly been waiting for a couple of his guys offensively to come through. Prince Fielder, one of them. J.J. Hardy, we just saw one of him. Kendall hitting 173. Imagine what this Brewer lineup can do if all are ticking at the same time. And I guess you could say that about just about any team, but the Brewers even more so with the amount of talent from top to bottom that they have. Here in the bottom half of the second inning, at Miller Park, the Brewers and the Pirates, all scoreless. Brewers would love to get back above 500 here before that calendar turns to April. So many times you hear players talk about getting to 500, but it's getting to and then staying above 500 that becomes the toughest part after you've reached that first hurdle. The Brewers have reached 500, but it's what they do from here now that will be key. On first is Hall. One out in the inning. The 2-0 pitch on the way. That's in there for a strike. The count is 2-1. Already 40 pitches thrown by Ian Snell. He has only recorded one out here in the second. Kendall has plenty of room down the lines if he can put it into doubles territory. Another check over to Hall at first. Hall does have speed, although he hasn't shown as if he'll run just yet. 2 balls, 1 strike, 1 out, bottom of the second. Snell comes set. Here's the pitch. This one is lifted down the right field line, but it's going to find the seats. Well, that time Hall perhaps thinking about trying to take second. Jason Kendall trying to do more than just advance the runner because the pitcher Gallardo is on deck. He would only be facing a 2-out situation with Hall in scoring position. And now, once again, the infield will talk now as Diaz meets up with Freddie Sanchez, Ian Snell, and more. Defense probably trying to line up just in case Hall were to take off once again. After Gallardo, of course, it would go back to the top of the order. So Milwaukee looking to get something done now. Two balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Runner doesn't go. This one a check swing over towards first. Fielded by LaRoche. He's going to go to second, get one. Back to first, not in time. So LaRoche able to make the play over at second base in time for 1 out. But Kendall able to beat out the throw. 2 outs in the inning, another look. A fine defensive play by LaRoche, of course, as a lefty first baseman. That's the best position he could be in. The turn just about as quick as the Pirates defense could have done it. Snell was there in time to make the play, but just simply too much time, and Kendall able to beat it by a half a step over at first base. And now Kendall over at first with 2 away. The Brewers may not get anything this inning, but where managers certainly love to be able to get that runner over on first, and where Ken Maka is excited and John Russell is not, is that Gallardo now will come up to the plate. So assuming, as most pitchers do in these situations, if he doesn't come through and he records the out, well, the Brewers have turned the lineup over. And Gallardo would not have to lead off the bottom of the third, and that's where the victory for the Brewers comes in by Kendall being able to beat out that play. Gallardo, though, don't count him out, 333, although that's, of course, in limited at-bats. He does have the 1 home run. I'll eat my words, though, if Gallardo does come through in this situation. 2 outs, bottom of the second, the pitch. It's down and away, so now it's 2-0. Kendall over on first. Again, the Pirate defense played it just about as well as they could, but the ball moving so slowly that unable to make the play. Snell approaching 50 pitches so far through 2. And Gallardo lifts one high in the air, back behind deep short. Coming in as Moss, but eventually calling off and making the play is the shortstop, Ramon Vasquez, as he is able to retire the side. Snell out of a mini jam once again. He has pitched through 2. He has thrown nearly 50 pitches, but the score remains tied at 0 as we go to the top of the third. No score on MLB.tv. Miller Park, the Milwaukee Brewers looking to continue the dominance over the Pittsburgh Pirates. Fans enjoying an afternoon affair. For the Brewers, they will stay home this weekend and play the Arizona Diamondbacks for 4 through Sunday. Then a return trip back to Pittsburgh, a 2-game series. Next week in baseball, you're going to see some of those odd scheduling situations where fans will see 2 games with a series. You'll also have your opportunity, of course, to fill out your All-Star ballot at the Yard, or head on over to MLB.com and fill out your All-Star ballot there. The chant in Milwaukee is Vote Brewers. You'll find that throughout the ballpark as well. But Milwaukee will play 2 in Pittsburgh and then 2 in Cincinnati before coming back home to take on the Cubs. Gallardo's second pitch is in there for a strike. The count moves even to 1-1. It's third baseman, or rather shortstop, Ramon Vasquez. Vasquez, a 188 hitter on the year. The 1-1 pitch is upstairs. The count moves to 2-1. For Pittsburgh, they have an off day tomorrow. They close out their April schedule today. Then head home for 3 against in-divisional rival Cincinnati, followed by 2 against Milwaukee at PNC Park. And then after that, 2 on the road in St. Louis, and then a road trip to the new Citi Field. The Pirates will get their first look at Citi Field as they visit the New York Mets. 3 balls and a strike to Vasquez. That's in there, so the count now is 3-2. So a rare full count drawn by a Pirate hitter. We've seen a lot of it from the Brewers side of the lineup so far, but Gallardo goes full. The 3-2 pitch. And that one hit back up the middle, but a nice stop by Gallardo, so able there to field it. Throws it over the fielder at first, and the out is recorded. So Sanchez is retired. Take one more look. It wasn't hit particularly hard by Vasquez off the end of the bat, but still, once that pitcher gets rid of the ball, he stands only about 55 feet away from home plate, so any reaction that a pitcher has to a ball hit up the middle is impressive. Gallardo able to help himself and record out number 1. That brings up the catcher, Robinson Diaz. Diaz, first pitch swinging, hits it up over towards short. The play is made by Hardy. He has time, throws to first, and quickly 2 outs in the frame. So Diaz not wasting any time. He immediately goes first pitch swinging and grounds out to Hardy. So quickly 2 outs, and now the pitcher Ian Snell to step in. Even though there's no score, Ken Macha has to be pleased with the way that the start of this game is going. His pitcher, Gallardo, very effective, very little pitches, smooth on and off the field. And his offense, despite being unable to score runs early on, has been putting the pressure on Snell, who swings through a fastball, and the count moves even to 1-1. Gallardo quickly into the windup once again. The 1-1. Swing and a miss, and another fastball. That one a little bit higher in the zone, and the count moves to 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The pitch on the way. Did he hold? He certainly did not. The ball in the dirt, blocked by Kendall. To throw to first will be there in time for the out. So Snell is the strikeout number 4 for Yovani Gallardo. We are moving to the bottom half of the 3rd inning of play. Still no score here in Milwaukee. It's the Pirates and the Brewers on MLB.tv. The Brewers are looking for the sweep of the Pirates. A big reason for that came last night in game number 2. Ricky Weeks off of Jesse Chavez with this go-ahead home run. It made the score 6-5 late in the game. The Brewers were able to hold on for the victory. And Ricky Weeks will lead things off here in the bottom half of the 3rd inning for Milwaukee. Weeks, 2 home runs in the series. He is a combined 3 for 10 so far, and he has driven in 6. And the Pirates will be no more than pleased to see him. Certainly, well, he'll stay, but for the Pirates to leave town and not have to face Ricky Weeks after this game is over. He's 0 for 1 so far today as he makes his way up here to lead off the bottom half of the 3rd inning of play. Roof is closed at Miller Park, so weather conditions not a factor. Temperatures are in the 40s. It's a bit chilly, but ultimately the players and fans not having to deal with too much of that. As Weeks steps in, bottom half of the 3rd inning of play. And that one's in there for a strike, so the count is 0-1. Weeks, Duffy, and Braun, top 3rd of the order for the Brewers here in the bottom of the 3rd. Ian Snell immediately back out on the hill after striking out to end the inning. It's a check swing, tapper over to first. LaRoche, the other hand, tossed to Snell, who's covering in time for the out. So quickly 1 away. Well, you wonder what kind of an effect the pitcher has. And again, it wasn't like Snell was running the bases for too long, but when a pitcher makes the last out and has to do some running, will he be able to quickly get back into his rhythm to start the next half of the frame? Well, it's a good start for Snell, who is able to get the check swing ground out of Ricky Weeks, who now moves to 0 for 2. Here's Chris Duffy. He walked last time, was later stranded. Just misses, 1-0. It'll be the job of Ken Macha to try and get the Milwaukee Brewers back to where they were last year. Their first playoff appearance since 1982. They would lose in the first round, ultimately to the now world champion Philadelphia Phillies. But for Ken Macha, there's a lot of talk as to who would take over that managerial role for the Brewers. You have a team that is without their ace from last year, CC Sabathia, is without their other longtime ace, Ben Sheets, who remains on the shelf with an injury. And you wonder what exactly is in store for the Brewers in 2009. He is enlisting the help, as you see there, of Willie Randolph, who was let go of his duties as manager of the New York Mets midway through 2008. And you have two guys who have certainly been around the block as far as coaching, managerial experience is concerned, but two great baseball minds. And if they're able to get what many people believe they can get out of this young Brewer club, well, there's no question that once again a return trip to the postseason is not out of the question. The 3-1 pitch. That's lifted straight up in the infield. Snell points it out to his third baseman. LaRoche is there, and it will be the younger brother, Andy LaRoche, to make the play. So 2 outs here in the inning. We take a look now at General Manager Doug Melvin for the Milwaukee Brewers. And as far as Doug Melvin is concerned, it will be his job to try to make those last-minute deadline moves once again. The Brewers made the biggest splash of anybody in 2008 when they were able to acquire CC Sabathia. And they grabbed a guy who, well, you could say some of it was because of the newness of being in the National League. I'm sure that was part of it. The other part is just CC Sabathia being one of the better, more intimidating pitchers in all of baseball, just running through the National League. And eventually to that wild card, edging out the New York Mets. And again, they lost in the first round, but what they got out of CC Sabathia towards the end of the year, what Doug Melvin was able to do with that one simple acquisition, proved to be tremendous for the organization and for the fans. Now, you could say, what did they give up in return? Obviously, Matt Laporta was the key chip that went back to Cleveland, and he is just tearing it up at the start of the season for the Indians. And he will one day make his stamp at the Major League level as well, too. But ultimately, the game is about winning. And for the Brewers, they got that. They got into the postseason. They didn't get to where they ultimately wanted to go, but they got into the postseason, and that's somewhere that Brewers fans have not seen their club, obviously, in over 20 years before they made it in 2008. Ryan Braun right now, even in the count 1-1, he went down on strikes in 3 straight pitches in the first inning. The 1-1 pitch, tap foul, 1-2. For a lot of the quote-unquote smaller market teams, and you could probably put both Pittsburgh and Milwaukee into that group, you certainly try to get a feel from speaking to the general managers, but some say that the job becomes even harder because fewer mistakes can be made in terms of personnel decisions. And it's harder to ultimately acquire somebody at the deadline when you don't want to give up some of the young chips that you've drafted. The Pirates are doing their best job in trying to do the exact same thing, and that's why a lot of those young arms have started to make their way up. That's why you start seeing names like Paul Maholm make their way in. That's why Ian Snell all of a sudden becomes a vital arm in that Pirate rotation. We'll talk more later about that Pirate minor league system, but don't forget Tom Gorzolani is down there. And when he makes his way back up, if he can get back to where the Pirates know he can be, that's just another arm. And we didn't even get into some of those minor league arms. Pirates not too long ago had a real high draft pick. I believe it was number 1 overall, if my memory serves me right, in John Van Benscoten. It obviously has taken him a while to make the way up, but Braun down on strikes, fooled once again by Ian Snell. So Snell settles down in the third, able to go 1-2-3. Braun is 0 for 2, still scoreless as we move to the top of the fourth in Milwaukee. It's MLB.tv. If you're looking for that extra edge to win your fantasy league this year, then catch the MLB.com Fantasy 411 weekdays on iTunes and check out the exclusive blog they have over at fantasy411.mlblogs.com. You'll probably get some real good feedback from anybody talking fantasy baseball about what Yovani Gallardo has been able to do so far here in the first 3 innings. Back to the top of the order, and Nyjer Morgan swinging through a fastball. The count moves even. 1 ball, 1 strike. Top of the 4th inning. Morgan, Sanchez, and Moss, the top 3 in the top of the 4th for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Vinny Micucci with you. The Brewers looking for the 3-game sweep, and ultimately looking to continue their dominance of the Pirates. This series between the two continues next week at PNC Park for 2 early on Monday and Tuesday. And for the Pirates, they would like to not enter that game having lost 18 straight at Miller Park and 15 overall. Back up the middle and grabbed by Yovani Gallardo. So Nyjer Morgan able to connect sharply with one, but Gallardo's nice defensive play is able to record out number 1. Well, for Gallardo, it's his second nice defensive play of the game. This one a little bit more difficult. It was off the inside part of the bat, but watch the reaction time for Gallardo. He's able to make the play. And I tell you what, for any pitcher and anybody growing up learning how to pitch, they say the most important part of pitching to keep, your balance and allow the ball to go where you want it to. But the most important part is where you end up. And Gallardo consistently ends up facing home plate and in a great defensive position every time. Quickly ahead in the count, 0-2 now to Freddie Sanchez, who's 0 for 1 with a fly out. The 0-2 pitch. Curve in the dirt, and the count moves to 1-2. Well, Sanchez still with that 0 for 1 at 349 on the year. And Pirates want to see him above that 300 mark all year. Because when he's getting on base, that middle of the order could drive him in. Just missing off the corner of the plate. Kendall tried to square it off, but the count moves to 2-2. Take one more look at this one. Kendall does his best job of framing it, but he was already set up just beyond the plate, so he did not get the call. The 2-2 pitch just misses, so the count now is full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out here in the 4th. After Sanchez, Brandon Moss will dig in. The 3-2 pitch on the way. That's fouled back into the screen, and the count moves to, will remain at 3-2. Yovani Gallardo coming off his first career complete game. It was against the Houston Astros. He did allow a home run in that game to Carlos Lee, but still able to get the victory. And picked up his first career complete game in the process. We've seen a couple of managers go for it so far this year. It's something personally I'd love to see more of. Managers sticking with their starter deeper into ball games, especially holding on to the lead as Sanchez fouls another one back into the screen. We've seen a couple times already this year pitchers who take leads into the 8th or 9th and seem to have the opposing lineup baffled, get replaced only to see the bullpen relinquish that lead. Sanchez swinging, taps one over towards second. Weeks is there, he fields it cleanly. The throw is to first, and he's able to record the out. So 2 away here in the inning. Well, the most important thing to take out of that at bat is that Gallardo refused to give in to Sanchez. Even when he had him at 3-2, he refused to give him something that he can cleanly hit. After a couple of foul outs, he weakly grounds out to second. So with 2 away, here's the left fielder, Brandon Moss. Moss, the lefty, digs in. The first pitch he sees is down low, ball 1. Well, you've probably already noticed it watching at home, but the breaking pitches for Yovani Gallardo are clearly working well. And he has not been afraid to go to him so far early in the game as he gets a called strike, 1-1. The 1-1. And that one looped lightly over towards third. On a hop, it's fielded by Hall. The strong throw in time. So a difficult defensive play made easy by Bill Hall, and another 1-2-3 inning for Yovani Gallardo. We move to the bottom half of the fourth inning of play. No score at Miller Park between the Milwaukee Brewers and Pittsburgh Pirates on MLB.tv. And Milwaukee, Wisconsin is playing host to the Pirates and Brewers this afternoon. The Brewers looking for the 3-game sweep. That is not a skyline that the Pirates have been pleased to fly into lately. It has meant nothing but losses as Prince Fielder starts things off with the ball 1-0. 17 straight games have been won by the Brewers over the Pirates at Miller Park. That's incredible. Fielder, Hart, and Hardy. 4, 5, and 6 due up for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Snell gets Fielder to sky one really high. Over by the first base dugout. Diaz gives it a chase, but dropped by a fan a couple of rows back. Well, that's not only going to sting, but also no reward for a baseball. Diaz making his second start of the season for the Pittsburgh Pirates behind home plate. The Pirates are going to have to do some real shaking behind home plate for the next couple of weeks. Early in the first inning, Diaz and Snell appeared to be off sync. Snell repeatedly shaking off signs. He visibly showed as if he was upset with the way the game was being called early on. And then after some time in the dugout in between innings, it appears as if he's also settled down. As a matter of fact, the third inning for Snell, a smooth 1-2-3-1. But Snell and the rest of that Pirate staff is going to have to get used to seeing some young catchers behind home plate. Between Jaramillo and Diaz, it will be young catchers back there for some time as Fielder slowly hits one over to short. Vasquez makes the throw and able to get Fielder, who showed some speed down the line but is just out. And that's out number 1. Take one more look at this nice defensive play. Vasquez had to hustle. As a shortstop, you don't often find yourself in scenarios where you need to charge as much as Vasquez did. That's normally a corner infielder position type of play. But Vasquez able to make the play and retire Fielder for the first out of the inning. So here's Corey Hart. He's 0 for 1 after flying out to right field in the first inning. Well, the reason, of course, for the Pirates' youth behind the plate is because Ryan Doumit is on the disabled list. Now, Doumit was hit by a pitch as Hart sends one deep into left field. Going back is Moss. He looks up. The ball is one hopper over the wall, and it will be there for a ground rule double. So Corey Hart, with one out here in the fourth, puts a runner in scoring position as he gives one a ride off of Ian Snell. The Brewers have something going. Well, Hart just taking what he was given there. Pretty much a fat pitch thrown by Ian Snell. And Hart able to drill it out into left field. One hopper into the left field stand. So a runner on second now with one out. And that brings up J.J. Hardy. Hardy so far is 0 for 1. He flew out to right field to begin the second inning. Defense playing straight away for Hardy. Snell, a long look over to second. And the pitch. And that catches the lower half of the plate, so the count's 0-1. Well, Hardy, so far that average has been low at 171, but he'll look to add to the RBI total. He has a runner in scoring position here. No balls and a strike. One away, bottom of the fourth, still scoreless between the Pirates and the Brewers on getaway day for the Pirates and for much of the major leagues. Well, I mentioned that Doumit is out. He will be out anywhere from 8 to 10 weeks, and that will cause certain headaches for that man there, John Russell, the skipper of the club. Doumit, as he has rejoined the club, he is there right there in your center of your screen, had wrist surgery just 4 days ago. Actually, that shot pretty much a sign of what's going on right now. Craig Monroe to the left. Well, he's healthy. That's okay. But Doumit injured in the center. Nate McLouth injured to your right. McLouth day to day. He had an oblique injury, and he says that as soon as that is fully healthy, he'll be able to come back. Doumit, though, on the other hand, had surgery on his right wrist. He said he wanted to rejoin the team quickly. He did just that 4 days later, joining them in Milwaukee. But he will not be even reevaluated for another month. As Hardy lifts one deep into left field. Moss goes back just shy of the track. He's there to make the play. Tagging and heading over towards third, and now caught in between second and third is Hart, but nobody's over at second covering the bag, so Hart is able to retreat without a problem. Hardy becomes out number 2 here in the inning. Well, let's take one more look at this one. Here the throw comes in. Hart, though, not sure if he knew it as he was making the decision, but decided to take a chance and realized when he wasn't going to beat the throw to third, had plenty of time to get back to second base. So a nice throw by Moss to hold him at second. And Hart able to get back to second base without any other issues. So 2 away now. Bill Hall, he's 1 for 1, was later erased due to a fielder's choice. He steps in. And Hall holds off on the breaking pitch. It's 1-0. Was mentioning about Doumit, though. Of course, he said he wanted to be back with the team. Came back with the team. Reported no ill effects from the surgery. Said he was happy to be rejoining the club. He'll be reevaluated in a month. Is told that he cannot do any baseball activities, obviously, anyway, at least until that time. As you could see, the wrapped hand of Ryan Doumit. And then, even after the reevaluation, still should not be able to get back into any game action for at least about 4 weeks after that. So the Pirates, you're looking at 2 solid players, and Doumit on the left and McLouth on the right, who are both missing time. For Snell, that's meant having to get to know a couple of new catchers today, getting to know Robinson Diaz. The Brewers fans pick it up just a bit here. Bottom of the second. Runner on second is Corey Hart. 1-1 the count. Pitch on the way. And Hall cannot hold up. A nice breaking pitch there by Snell. Snell has looked sharper as this game has moved along. The first inning, he threw 28 pitches. Since then, he's settled down a lot better. Take another look at this pitch. I mean, any hitter will tell you that coming out of his hand, that looks like a nice straight fastball, but you have very little time to determine the spin of that pitch. And it quickly dove its way down. 2 outs here in the bottom half of the fourth inning of play. A ball and 2 strikes. Snell comes set. He deals. Well, same pitch. This time, though, Hall is not serving up a swing, and the count moves even. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 out. On deck next will be Jason Kendall. Snell has thrown 70 pitches now in the game, 41 of them for strikes. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Another one in the dirt. Well, communication issues may have been the case for Snell and Diaz, but one thing is for certain, and that's that Robinson Diaz behind the plate has done a great job of blocking any pitch in the dirt that Snell has offered. And several times that has prevented runners for the Brewers from advancing. We have seen very little offense so far in this contest. Just 2 hits between the 2 clubs. The Brewers getting those hits. The 3-2 pitch. And again goes with the breaking pitch, but Hall able to lay off. So after getting full 2 pitches ago, Hall able to hold off of 2 straight breaking pitches, and that walk will put him on first base. So first and second now, and Jason Kendall steps in. One more look at Snell's offering. Now, Hall able to get a better sense of that pitch throughout the at-bat and was able to lay off. So now Hall has been aboard both times that he's been up, and he gives way to Jason Kendall. Kendall reached on a fielder's choice. He was able to beat out the throw in what would have been a nice defensive play by the Pirates, but the ball was hit just too slow. Would have been a 3-6-1 double play. Now we're going to get a visit to the mound for Ian Snell. Runners on first and second as Joe Kerrigan comes out quickly with some words. He, Diaz, and Snell there to chat it up. Snell had that 28-pitch first inning, but he settled down nicely after that. A little rough in the second as well, too, facing just 4 batters. The third inning is where he was his strongest, going 1-2-3 with the top of the order. And now we're here in the 4th inning, and with 2 outs, he has 2 runners aboard. So the conference between the 3 men is over, and now Snell and Diaz get back to work. Bottom half of the 4th inning of play at Miller Park. No score between the Pirates and Brewers. Runners on first and second. The pitch is lifted into left field. It's deep. Will it stay fair? And it's foul. So Jason Kendall gave one a ride and hits it about, they say 10, 15 feet left of the foul pole. Here's another look at it. This will be a great angle that we'll see down the left field line, and that one, the only way it had a chance to go was as if it was hit even harder than it was, and that ball was a bullet. But it had enough time to skip foul. Hart on second, Hall on first. Kendall calls time. The score is the same, but the contrast in how we've gotten there has been quite different. For Snell, it has been very taxing. For Gallardo, it has seemingly looked easy for him so far. But nevertheless, Snell able to yet get another swinging miss here by Kendall, and now he is 1 strike away of putting up 4 zeros to start the game. With a splitter there, just quickly diving into the ground. 1, another great block by Diaz, and 2, Those Brewers hitters taking a little time to recognize that pitch, and Kendall now down in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. And it's good that Diaz is able to block as many as he has, because it's giving Snell clearly the confidence to continue to throw those pitches. Again in the dirt. Again another block. Diaz doesn't see it right away. Hart went about halfway between second and third, but quickly makes his way back. Hart over at second base after reaching with a double with 1 out in the inning. He put a 1-hopper over the left field wall. Take another look at how far Hart was able to go. The ball skipped away. Hart, goes about halfway between second and third, but then realizes he wouldn't have made it, so quickly scampers back to second. 2-2 the count. Pitch on the way. This one's tapped over towards short. Vasquez is there. He's going to go the short way over to second, and he's just able to beat Bill Hall to the bag for the final out of the inning. We've played 4 at Miller Park. Still a scoreless affair between the Pirates and the Brewers. You are tuned to an MLB.TV exclusive. Afternoon affair between the Brewers and the Pirates. The fans who are on hand are watching a pitcher's duel here to start things off as we move to the top half of the 5th inning of play. Those guys certainly, I hope they're not skipping school, but either way, they are enjoying the game this afternoon. He's certainly not skipping school, has a little bit of time before that gets underway. But the Brewers looking for the 3-game sweep and continued dominance of the Pirates here, but right now a scoreless affair, as it's Giovanni Gallardo back out onto the hill for the Brewers. Miller Park is one of the newer parks, obviously, in baseball. It already has hosted an all-star game, and it is one of the more picturesque ballparks you will see. If the Brewers are able to hit a home run, well, there's the slide out in left center field for Bernie Brewer to do his thing. And also one of the better places as far as food is concerned. You will get some real good sandwiches at the ballpark at Miller Park. Top half of the 5th inning of play. The 1-1 is hit foul, third base side. Will it stay? No, it just reaches the Pirates' dugout. Both Hall and Kendall gave chase. So now the count is 1-2. Well, for Adam LaRoche so far, he is 0 for 1. He flew out to lead off the 2nd inning. His flyout went to center field. On the season, LaRoche is now a .280 hitter. ball and 2 strikes as Gallardo continues to stay ahead of every hitter that he faces in the game. Goes once again with that breaking pitch in the dirt, blocked by Kendall, but no offering by LaRoche, so the count is now 2-2. LaRoche, along with his brother Andy, make up the corner infield spots for this Pirate ball club. Adam spent a lot of time with the Atlanta Braves before making his way over to Pittsburgh. Andy, most recently, well, he spent his early part of the career with the Los Angeles Dodgers before getting a shot in the Steel City as LaRoche goes down looking for strike 3. So 1 out here in the inning. LaRoche takes another look at this one. Well, Gallardo goes back with the hook. Unfortunately, LaRoche is tall, so that one seemingly makes its way just into the strike zone. Might have been a bit high, but nevertheless, a strikeout recorded. That's number 5 now in the game for Gallardo. Here's Eric Hinske. Hinske, one of those strikeouts. His came back in the second as well, too, and now he's quickly down in the count 0-1. No score here, top of the 5th inning. 1 away. Hinske fouls one off once again. He was jammed with that pitch, and the count now is 0-2. Foul ball somewhere in there. Seen a couple of dropped foul balls by the fans so far today. No balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, top half of the 5th inning. Eric Hinske at the plate. Gallardo into the windup, and he deals. That's upstairs, and the count now is 1-2. Well, the injury bug is not just hitting the Pittsburgh Pirates. The National League Central also getting hit a little bit as well, too. The Houston Astros announced that Jose Valverde, their closer, has been shelved and placed on the 15-day disabled list. 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and there's strikeout number 6. Hinske down for the 2nd time today, and that's 2 away. Take another look at this. How about the breaking pitches of Gallardo? That ball fell right off the shelf, and Hinske had no chance. Off with timing, and clearly the ball was several inches away from the barrel of the bat, so 2 away. With Valverde going on the disabled list, LaTroy Hawkins, it was announced, will take over the closer duties right now for the Astros for some time. Upstairs to Andy LaRoche, ball 1. Also out of the Central, the Chicago Cubs with a bit of news. They announced that they will retire the number 31 on May the 3rd. And that's to honor both Ferguson Jenkins and Greg Maddux, who both wore the number in the Windy City. In their first strike, 1-1. Speaking of pitchers for the Chicago Cubs, Carlos Zambrano finished a triple shy of the cycle in the Cubs' victory on Tuesday over the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had a single, a double, a home run, which, by the way, was his 17th career home run, in what eventually became an 11-3 victory over Arizona. And that's a strike as well. So the count now is 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, top of the 5th. Tap foul. Two and two now to LaRoche. Gotta imagine there were years and years of catches in the yard between the 2 LaRoche brothers, and now they get to do it on a major league field. Anytime a ball's hit over to third, it could be LaRoche to LaRoche in the program. As Andy fouls it off once again. 2-2. Also makes it a lot easier for any family members to be able to watch. Nice crowd on hand at Miller Park. Enjoying so far a nice pitching battle as well, too. As this one's lifted into right center field, it's going to get down and into the gap. Coming over to cut it off is Duffy. Duffy is going to make the throw. Heading into second is LaRoche. The throw is not in time, so Andy LaRoche is aboard with a 2-out double. And for the Pirates, it's their first hit of the ball game. We take another look. A nice inside-out swing. It was another good breaking pitch, but that one started a lot higher than a lot of the other two-strike breaking balls have been by Gallardo, and there's your big difference. The major league hitter will take advantage of that as LaRoche is able to slide in safely with a two-out double. Every time Gallardo has been trying to go for the eventual strikeout pitch, he has started it at waist level, and it has ended up in the dirt. I think we've seen on 2 or 3 occasions where Kendall had to throw to fielder at first to record the strikeout. That one just simply hung, and because of it, the Pirates have their first base hit of the game. Ramon Vasquez is 0 for 1 with a ground out. Two and 0. Opportunity here for the Pirates to get that first run of the board as well, too. 3 hits so far in the game. 0-1-0 for Pittsburgh. 0-2-0 for Milwaukee. So Gallardo goes 4 2/3 without giving up so much as a hit or a base runner. He's got 6 strikeouts on the day, and LaRoche finally breaks that up. Now it's up to the Pirates to try to cash in. The 1-0 pitch to Vasquez, and Gallardo steps off. And now we're going to get a meeting between Gallardo and Kendall. Gallardo 66 pitches so far through the game, 44 of them for strikes. He has been very efficient. He has moved his pitches well. He's kept his breaking pitches low. Outside of that one pitch right there to LaRoche, he has been perfect. Both pitchers at this point waiting for some offense from their respective ball clubs. The 2-0 pitch. In on the hands and fouled out of play, and the count now is 2-1. A whole slate of day action around the major leagues, as a matter of fact. The earlier game that got underway a half hour prior to this contest at Miller Park, the Angels a 3-1 lead over the Orioles. As Gallardo delivers a pitch down low for a ball, 3-1. Elsewhere around the National League, the Mets are tied up with the Marlins at 2 apiece right now. That's in the 5th inning. And over in the American League, just underway, top half of the second, no score between Seattle and the Chicago White Sox. Vasquez fouls one off. The count now is 3 balls and 2 strikes. On deck is Robinson Diaz. Gallardo, as I mentioned earlier, coming off a complete game. It's his first complete game of his career. And up until this point, he and Kendall have been very much in sync with each other, but after the 2-out double by LaRoche, some conversation going on. They bring J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, into the mix. For Ken Macha, he has had to make seemingly little decisions so far. Just stick Gallardo out there. He's doing the job. Getaway day here at Miller Park. Pirates are off tomorrow. They begin their May schedule at home against Cincinnati. The Brewers will welcome in the Diamondbacks for 4 beginning tomorrow night. Now Vasquez looks at a called strike 3. He did not like the call, but he is down on strikes. It is strikeout number 7 for Yovani Gallardo. He escapes the 2-out double. 1 hit for the Pirates through 5. No score as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. One more look at the strikeout of Vasquez. This is MLB.tv. Fans at Miller Park taking in a scoreless affair thus far as we move to the bottom half of the 5th inning of play. Well, there are some picturesque seats, and if you catch a ball there, not only is it not foul, but it is also one heck of a shot or a home run. That is Prince Fielderland as we take a look at the line of Ian Snell. Through 4 innings, he has thrown 77 pitches, 44 of them for strikes, and he has settled down after the first inning, which was a long one, 28 pitches and a lot of miscommunication. Second inning, a little bit better, and then since then, Ian Snell has looked a lot stronger. He's going to start off with the bottom half of the order here. Yovani Gallardo to lead things off as he cues one over to the first base side and out of play, so the count's now 0-2. Gallardo flew out to left field his first time up. Down in the hole here, 0-2. And that one in the dirt, 1-2. It's not just Snell who has been getting the job done. I mentioned that young staff of the Pirates and how well they have played. They're 11-9 right now, entering today's contest, and they hope to be able to walk out of here with a win. The Brewers as a team have been their problem, but everybody else, the pitching has done the trick. As Gallardo just down the third base line is able to hit one, a nice defensive play by Andy LaRoche, able to stay with it as it went over the bag and made the out. Take another look. This one hugs the third base bag. It just stayed fair, and a nice job by LaRoche, not only to get over there to make the play, but quickly get rid of it. Even with Gallardo running, he still had to get rid of that as quickly as possible, and you could see how athletic you have to be able to make a throw across your body like that. So a nice job by LaRoche. As I was saying, though, that Pirate pitching staff heading into today's contests, and it's only going to get better with the first 4 1/3 innings of pitching for Snell. But heading into today's contest, the Pirate pitching staff is #1 in the National League in ERA. They have a combined ERA of 3.52. In comparison, the Brewers' ERA as a team is 4.53, just over 1 run higher. So Snell has obviously even lowered that number a little bit through the first 4 1/3. The pitch to Weeks lifted sky high, straight up, back behind second base. Sanchez calls everybody off. He's there, and he's able to make the play for out number 2. So Weeks goes to 0 for 3 now for the day, and Chris Duffy will step in. Pittsburgh has also been very impressive with the bat. They haven't shown it yet so far today, but 4th in the National League in hitting at 273. Again, by comparison, Milwaukee 20 points lower at 253. So statistically, the Pirates are the better club. In the standings right now, it's just a 1-game difference between the two. The Pirates have that edge. Now, if the stats stay true as time moves on, the Pirates' record will reflect that, and they'll find themselves in a pennant race. But that's all still to be determined as the 1-0 pitch is swung on and missed by Duffy, and the count moves to 1-1. You knew Milwaukee was going to miss the likes of CC Sabathia and Ben Sheets, but you also knew that there were some young good pitchers waiting in the wings to take over. Gallardo is certainly one of them. Snell with the 1-1 pitch on the way. That is going to be called for a strike on the outside corner. Snell gets the benefit of the doubt of that call, and the count is 1-2. On deck would be Ryan Braun if the Brewers can get that far. The 1-2 pitch on the way. That's hit sharply over to first. Fair ball as it gets inside the bag. It's going to hit up against the wall. Quickly coming over is Hinske to make the play. It takes him a moment to pick the ball up in right field, and the speed of Duffy finds him into second base with a 2-out double. Well, the pitch, again, a nice downward breaking ball there by Snell, but he's able to get it just down the line is Duffy. And with LaRoche playing way off the first base bag, no chance defensively to make the play. Hinski's throw not in time. So Duffy is aboard now with a 2-out double. So much like the Pirates had last inning with Andy LaRoche, Chris Duffy a 2-out two-bagger here and an opportunity to drive in a run. Only difference between the Pirates scenario and the Brewers scenario is that one of the best hitters in the National League, Ryan Braun, steps in. 2 outs in the 5th. Duffy leads off second. Snell's pitch. Down low, ball 1. Well, here's where the managerial decision of John Russell comes into play. I'm sure he and Joe Kerrigan, the pitching coach, are discussing how they want to pitch to Braun. He does have an open bag over at first. However, 2 things. One, well, it says it right there. Braun is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts against Snell, so Snell's been able to handle Braun thus far. And 2, you'd have the lefty hitting Prince Fielder coming up next, and you certainly don't want to put runners aboard. But if Snell gets into a hole, rather than dealing a fat one to Braun, maybe then he pitches around him. However, that pitch is in there for a strike, so the count is 1-1. The constant jockeying going on during a baseball game is incredible. Never a good reason to put anybody aboard to face that man, but better off facing Fielder in a fresh count than trying to sneak one by Braun, because more often than not, you will be burned. 2 outs in the 5th. The ball and a strike, the count. Snell comes set. Here comes the pitch. And that's in there for a strike. So Braun is now down in the hole once again, a ball and 2 strikes, and he has had that same reaction throughout the game. The pitches have been clearly going over the plate, but Braun just not seeing them as well as he'd like. Snell now has officially, with that strike, thrown 90 pitches in the game. So the other question that'll be in the back of the mind of John Russell will be at what point, if at any point recent, depending upon what has recently happened, do you go to the bullpen? As Braun goes down swinging on a beautiful off-speed pitch by Snell, he's emphatically excited about it. Braun is K'd for the 3rd time in this game, and we go to the 6th inning, still scoreless. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for the Pirates. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for the Brewers. No score on MLB.tv. Well, this game has been all about pitching so far, but even more so for the Milwaukee Brewers. Yovani Gallardo started off the game with a strikeout of Nyjer Morgan, and then it just got better from there. Here, Eric Hinske goes down looking. He continued along the game by getting 7 different Pirates to strike out, and it has been all Yovani Gallardo thus far in the game. 1 hit allowed through 5 innings of work, and he will now face the 8, 9, and 1 hitters in the Pirate order. 70 pitches, that was number 71 right there, the strike to Diaz. 47 of them for strikes, but look at the lines at the end. 7 strikeouts, no walks, 1 hit. Gallardo keeps up that kind of pace throughout the season. You're talking about all-star type numbers for the young righty. 7 strikeouts. What's even more impressive is that 5 of them are looking. You can add another one to that mix there with Diaz going down. 1 away here in the top of the 6th. So allow me to adjust my numbers here. Another strikeout. This is going to be number 8. 5 of the 8 strikeouts looking. First pitch to Snell is fouled back and out of play. 0-1 the count. Well, when guys are going down looking as often as they are against Gallardo, it only shows that not only is his stuff on, but it is fooling the opposing team. Ian Snell, first time up, he was one of those strikeouts. Even in the count now at 1-1. Well, as we get deeper into the bullpen, the advantage lies with the Milwaukee Brewers. Recent play by the Pirate bullpen has caused them a couple victories, most recently, of course, last night. The Tuesday game in the series in which Pittsburgh had the early 5-0 lead and watched that get squandered. Ultimately with Jesse Chavez coming in and allowing the go-ahead home run to Ricky Weeks. Snell a grounder to first. Fielder is there, easily fields it, steps on the bag, and there's 2 away. Well, those 2 men, Ian Snell and Yovani Gallardo, have been the reason that this game is still scoreless. Both pitching incredibly well as we go back to the top of the order. Nyjer Morgan to make just his 3rd appearance to the plate here in the 6th inning. The bullpen for the Milwaukee Brewers took a little bit of a facelift recently when they learned the good news that recent acquisition Trevor Hoffman was back. After some early spring training concerns and injury concerns, Hoffman was back and, as a matter of fact, picked up his first save of the season in the 6-5 win last night. And I'm sure certainly for Padre fans, but for any fan really around the league, seeing Hoffman in a different uniform is certainly something that has to be a bit of a double take when you see it. At the pace he's going, though, you would imagine Ken Macha doesn't need the bullpen as Gallardo deals another breaking pitch. That one down low. The count is 2-1. Just 80 pitches so far for Gallardo. He's coming off a game in which he threw a complete game for a victory over the Houston Astros. The 2-1 pitch to Morgan. And that finds the corner of the plate, and the count moves even. 2 balls and 2 strikes. In the dirt, looked very similar to what happened to start the game. Gallardo able to get Morgan down on a check swing once again. Morgan is frustrated. The Pirates hitters are frustrated. And we move now to the bottom half of the 6th inning of play. Still scoreless as we take another look at this one. Gallardo continues his dominance on MLB.tv. And in one of the great traditions at Miller Park, it is the sausage race. And ultimately, despite the long lead, it became a real close match here at the end. One of the very big reasons to make your way out to Miller Park and check it out. Ultimately, though, how about that come from behind victory there by Bratwurst as the fans enjoy yet another successful sausage race. Prince Fielder digs in, and the 0-1 count after looking at a first pitch strike. Snell working once again. Bottom of the sixth. Outside, the count is 1-1. Fielder walked back in the first inning and then grounded out to shortstop in the fourth. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. This one's hit sharply in between first and second and through for a base hit. So a leadoff hit by Prince Fielder. Let's take you back to Tuesday night's affair. I mentioned that Bratwurst came away with the victory here today, but on this day, this was Tuesday. Oh, down with a spill. So despite picking up the victory just a day later, that will leave a mark on the nose of Bratwurst, as that was just less than 24 hours ago. So remarkably able to come back and put on a good performance despite that spill. I'm impressed that each sausage is able to get that kind of speed with that much luggage. Big swing by Corey Hart, but he's biding the count now 0-1. Well, ironically or not ironically, it of course was the Pirates who were the visitor at the time of the Randall Simon incident. You might remember several years back, where Simon actually swung the bat and, well, he took out one of the sausages as they were passing by. That was also a Pirates at Brewers affair. Corey Hart 1 for 2. He was stranded after doubling to lead off the fourth. The 1-1. Lifted foul. After Hart, it'll be J.J. Hardy, followed by Bill Hall. For Snell, it was all about getting through that first inning. He and Robinson Diaz, the catcher, the youngster, had issues with communication, whether it be through signals, whether it be through pitch selection. Whatever the case may be, it was all about getting through that first inning. I remember at the time thinking, if Snell can just get through the first, they could try to match their sides of conversation and then go from there. And that has exactly been the case, as the Brewers have only been able to muster three hits rather since then, after that one hit through the first. Prince Fielder over on first. Diaz gives the signs. 2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. The pitch to Hart. In the dirt, blocked by Diaz. Diaz quickly comes back up with it. And there'll be no advance by Fielder, so the count runs full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Fielder takes his lead off first. Again, Snell going full to a batter. The pitch on the way. And Hart skies one, first base side. Sanchez quickly moves over. He calls everybody off and is there to make the play. So that pop out will not advance the runner, and there is now 1 away. Well, it was a good pitch by Ian Snell, able to ride that one in on Corey Hart, and the result was a weak pop out to that man, Freddie Sanchez. Means that the Job falls on the shoulders of J.J. Hardy. Hardy so far today is 0 for 2. He flew out to right and he flew out to left. On Monday, the Brewers picked up a 10-5 win over the Pirates. Milwaukee received 7 Ks over 5 innings from Braden Looper. Prince Fielder finished 2 for 4 with a pair of RBIs, and a home run and 4 RBIs from the bat of Ricky Weeks helped in that victory. Last night on Tuesday, Trevor Hoffman picked up his first save in a Brewers uniform as Milwaukee came from behind to defeat the Pirates 6-5. In the game, Ryan Braun, Corey Hart, and Ricky Weeks combined to go 6 for 11 with 3 walks, 4 runs, and 4 RBIs, including a home run. Fielder, a small lead over at first base. The 0-2 count right now to J.J. Hardy. Pitch on the way. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Hardy is down on strikes. Well, here comes Bill Hall, and we mentioned that the Brewers have needed some offense in order to get some victories. This was last night off Paul Maholm. Bill Hall with this shot into left center field, into the Brewer bullpen. And it was part of what the Brewers began, which was making up that 5-run deficit en route to the eventual 6-5 victory for the Pirates. Hall today has reached base twice. He singled back in the second, walked in the fourth. And he swings through the first pitch he sees. Nice slider. 0-1. The numbers are staggering, but I feel that they need to be repeated. Milwaukee looking for their 15th straight win over Pittsburgh. Looking for their 18th straight win over Pittsburgh at Miller Park. Down and away, 1-1. It's one thing to have an Achilles heel. It's another to have an Achilles heel that you play 18 or 19 times in a season, and that's the case right now with the Milwaukee Brewers and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ian Snell, though, settled down, has looked real sharp in this contest. He and Gallardo going punch for punch. Bottom half of the 6th inning, Fielder over on first. The 1-1 pitch to Hall. And again, Hall is fooled by the slider. The count now is 1-2. Well, Snell's mixed up his pitches. Last at bat, he realized he couldn't fool Hall after he walked, throwing too many curves in a row. This time he switched things up. Still the breaking pitches working for both pitchers. And the reason why we've had as many strikeouts as we've seen so far today. 9 strikeouts for Gallardo, 4 for Snell. Snell comes set. The 1-2. And Hall got a piece of it. I believe he got a piece of it, actually, as that ball is going to be thrown over towards first. And that will be the 3rd out of the inning. What happened there is Hall did not get a piece of it, but Diaz lost control of the ball, throws it over towards first base in time for the out. That's right, another look at that one. A nice replay right there. A good view will let you know that it just crossed up Diaz, and he had to make the throw to first. So Hall strikes out to end the inning. And Pittsburgh and Milwaukee scoreless on MLB.tv. There have been some fireworks in this series. 2 days ago, Ryan Braun hit by a pitch just one at-bat after he homered. Then Jason Kendall gets a high and hard one. Last night, Freddie Sanchez perhaps in some retribution, and then a little bit after that, Eric Hinske takes a pitch high and inside as well, too. So these two teams have been throwing back and forth at each other throughout the series. That last one right there, Andy LaRoche. One of those men was Freddie Sanchez. He leads off here in the top of the 7th. The first pitch he sees, he skies to right, and it's foul out of play. You know, you often hear that baseball players simply will not forget. They could take things into future series, future years. These two teams decided to hash it out in this series. That first one you saw from 2 nights ago, that was after Ryan Braun had homered. One at-bat later for Braun, he was thrown at up high and tight. And then, well, the subsequent pitches after that. No fireworks here today, but we are involved in a tight one. Sanchez grounder on the backhand from Hardy to throw in the dirt. Fielder makes the play. Was he able to make the tag? He was not. The call over at first is safe, but Fielder is arguing that he made not only the scoop, but also tagged Sanchez. And now Ken Maka is going to come out and have a conversation. The ruling on the field is E6. But Maka still believes that Fielder made not only the scoop, but was able to make the tag. Let's get, if we can, a better look at it. Sanchez was hustling hard out of the box. So you knew right off the bat it was going to be a tough throw. But the question is, and it might be tough to see from there, did Fielder get the tag on Sanchez? He makes the scoop. Oh, still very close. Either way, it becomes a real tough play to make the call over at first base. Yeah, first base umpire Marvin Hudson trying to make that call. That's tough. Well, Ken Maka, well, he got an explanation. I'm not sure if he's pleased with it or not, but either way, Sanchez is over on first to lead off the inning. That's only the second base runner of this game for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sanchez aboard. The difference between this and the last base runner is this one comes with nobody out. As Moss sends one to center field, straightaway center as Duffy's able to track it down and make the play, so there's one away. Well, we've seen some pitching today. The line for Snell so far, 6 innings, 4 hits, and 5 strikeouts. For Gallardo now, 6 1/3, 1 hit, and 9 strikeouts. Adam LaRoche digs in. LaRoche 0 for 2. Gallardo's first pitch is down low and away. The count is 1-0. Well, the Pirates looking for any sort of offense. They came into the game 4th in the National League in batting. That will all take a drastic downward turn after this one. One hit in the contest for Pittsburgh, and Sanchez reaching there on the throwing error from J.J. Hardy. Prince Fielder still says that he was able to get that tag over at first base. It was a nice job to not just stop the ball, but also even have an attempt to try and tag Sanchez. But the call was made that he's safe. Gallardo comes set. Pitch on the way. Upstairs. A check once more at some scores from around the league. Los Angeles now a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th over Baltimore. Elsewhere in the American League, Seattle trails Chicago 1-0 in the 4th. The 2-1 pitch. That's upstairs, 3-1. Other National League scores, the Mets have taken a 3-2 lead over the Marlins in the top half of the 7th inning, and they're just underway in Colorado as the Rockies entertain the San Diego Padres. 3 balls, 1 strike to count. Top half of the 7th inning. 1 away, and the pitch to LaRoche is sent high into left field. Takes a while to come down, but Braun is there to make the play for out number 2. What Gallardo has done so well throughout this game, and really except for that one pitch to Andy LaRoche just 2 innings ago, was be able to keep the ball away from the meaty part of the bat. His breaking stuff has been low. His fastballs have been riding inward to all hitters, as it just did right there to Adam LaRoche. No Pirate batter has been able to get a good swing and a pitch throughout this entire game outside of Andy LaRoche, and that's why he has the lone hit, the 2-out double that came in the 5th. Gallardo has 9 strikeouts. He hasn't even reached 100 pitches just yet. He sits at 93. The 1-0 downstairs, 2-0. Eric Hinske has 2 of those 9 strikeouts. He struck out looking in the 2nd and swinging in the 5th. The 2-0. And that one drops in there for a strike, 2-1. Well, we're getting to that point of the game where managers have to make decisions, and certainly the Pirates have already thought ahead. That's Tyler Yates out in the bullpen for the Pittsburgh Pirates. The right-hander warming up. The Brewers will need to decide the same as well in the dirt, 3-1. The Brewers might make that decision next inning. Gallardo is due up 2nd in the inning. But the decision becomes, do you want Gallardo to take you as far as you can, or do you want the offense now? The Pirate bullpen has struggled as of late, so you know that John Russell wants to avoid it as long as he can, but at the same point, Snell is well over 100 pitches to this point. The 3-1 pitch. Upstairs, ball 4, so now runners at 1st and 2nd with 2 away. Now we're going to get a visit to the mound. We're also at that point in the game as Bill Castro, pitching coach, will make his way to speak with Gallardo. We're also at that point of the game where you start thinking to yourself, it's a shame that either of these pitches has to receive a loss. Not that either has to, they could get a no decision, but that they won't receive a win. After that first inning from Snell, he has settled down. Gallardo has looked strong the entire time. But LaRoche, and I mentioned Andy back in the 5th inning against Giovanni Gallardo. See there, that breaking ball just hung in the zone, and LaRoche was able to connect. That was his last at-bat back in the 5th inning, and it still, to this point, remains the only hit of the game for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And he'll have an opportunity now to not only try to do the same thing, but drive in a run. Top half of the 7th, the pitch on the way. Fouled straight back into the screen. 0-1. The last pitch to LaRoche was just simply hung. And that's why the Pirates have that one hit on the board. Now, though, thanks to 2 walks, well, I should say, rather, my mistake, 1 walk and 1 throwing error, there are runners on 1st and 2nd, and an opportunity for LaRoche to drive him in. This, a fastball in there for a strike under the hands of LaRoche, and the count is 0-2. Major leaguers will tell you that also when you get to these nitty-gritty point of the games, you start looking down the bench and wondering who's going to step up, who's going to be the guy to come through with the big hit. No score here in Milwaukee. LaRoche does a nice job of staying off that pitch, and the count's 1-2. Later on this evening, Philadelphia will host Washington. They'll go for their 6th straight victory. They now are the new hottest team in baseball, thanks to the Red Sox 11-game winning streak going by the wayside. LaRoche swings and sends one up. high near the first base side. Fielder looks. Does he have enough room? He does. A couple feet shy of the first row of seats. Prince Fielder is there. He's able to grab the Andy LaRoche pop-up, and we're through 6.5. To the bottom of the 7th we go. Still scoreless here in Milwaukee. The Brewers and Pirates. No score on MLB.tv. Seventh inning of play. The fans at Miller Park have enjoyed one heck of a pitcher fest right now. Still a scoreless tie. Ian Snell and Yovani Gallardo have each put up zeros throughout. Ian Snell back out there. He is now working his 7th inning. He's allowed just 4 hits. Gallardo, even more impressive, 9 strikeouts through the time. So much so that the hitting stars of the game are guys with a pair of doubles. That's about it, as Corey Hart and Andy LaRoche have reached second base with a couple of swings. So all pitching this afternoon at Miller Park. Bottom half of the 7th inning of play. It'll be Kendall, then presumably Gallardo. He'd be due up second, then followed by Weeks. I'd love to be able to see a decision made where the pitchers can go as deep as possible, but again, you got to wonder, based on pitch counts, based on health of bullpen, as Snell is now over 110 pitches in the game. Gallardo just reached 100 last inning. Kendall taps one foul. Milwaukee can play it safe. They can wait and see if Kendall gets aboard, because if he does, you can use Gallardo to bunt him over. If not, then the decision becomes, do you want Gallardo to swing, or would you prefer to get somebody else in there and try to get some offense? At this point in the game, the way Gallardo's pitching, you might want him to stay out there as long as you can. The 0-2. Just off the plate, and the count moves to 1-2. And now Kendall calls time. Gallardo ready to go on deck. He has pitched beautifully this afternoon. Kendall gets a hold of one, sends it into left field. Going back is Moss, but he's there just shy of the track and able to make the catch for the out. So one away as Snell's able to retire Kendall. And Ken Maka will send Yovani Gallardo up to the plate, and I certainly like this move. Both Snell and Gallardo have been in such a rhythm and have pitched so well this afternoon that you almost want one of them to decide how this outcome is going to be decided. First pitch strike to Gallardo. Well, as good as he's been on the mound, he's 0 for 2 at the plate. A fly out and a ground out. Making his 3rd appearance. The 0-1. Tap foul, 0-2. Well, Ian Snell has looked great, but he is just one of many young arms that this Pittsburgh team has. Told you about Paul Mahalem earlier. Mentioned that at AAA right now, Tom Gorzolani is working out the kinks, but he, of course, has Major League experience. As Gallardo swings and lifts one into deep left field, Gallardo might have just given himself the lead, and he has! A solo home run off the bat of Yovani Gallardo, and the Brewers take the 1-0 lead. The pitch from Snell, a high fastball, and Yovani Gallardo got all of it. Into the second deck out in left center field at Miller Park. That is no cheap home run. And Yovani Gallardo has put the first run of the game on the board. The fans want him to come out. And he does. A curtain call. How about that? You have 9 strikeouts in the afternoon. You're tossing a shutout. And now you've hit a home run in the bottom of the 7th to give your team the lead. I believe you do deserve that curtain call. Back to the top of the order. Here's Ricky Weeks. Well, I guess the decision for Maka looks even smarter now. Yovani Gallardo has pitched 7 beautiful innings, has struck out 9, has allowed just a single hit. And now here in the bottom of the 7th, he breaks up the scoreless tie with a solo home run. And not just any home run, but a full blast of a home run into left center field. It's 1-0 Milwaukee. The 1-1 to Weeks. Down low, 2-1. And the shame of it for Snell is that he was basically matching Gallardo pitch for pitch. But to give up 1 run so far through 6 1/3, and let alone that 1 run be to the pitcher, he right now has a sour taste in his mouth, trailing 1-0. Weeks, by the way, is 0 for 3 so far today. The crowd's still abuzz after Yovani Gallardo hit his solo home run. He has but 1 blemish on the day. 1 hit allowed to Andy LaRoche. Otherwise, his pitching, and now here in the 7th, his offense, have put the Brewers out in front. 3-2 count. Now the question comes, is Snell slightly rattled? He's thrown 120 pitches. A long look into Diaz as he gets the sign, and now Weeks is going to step out. Well, I said it earlier, the contrast in the way that these two men have gotten to this spot has been different. Gallardo, smooth, seamless, effective. Snell, a lot more taxing. It seems as if he is working harder to get to this point, yet both have pitched beautifully. Snell, only 1 blemish on his record, really. And that's the solo home run moments ago by Yovani Gallardo. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bottom half of the 7th inning of play. For Snell, if he can get through Weeks, well then Duffy. The 3-2 pitch on the way. That's upstairs, and a walk is drawn by Ricky Weeks. Well, the crowd certainly excited about what just transpired here in Milwaukee. .122 pitches for Ian Snell. We saw that action earlier with Tyler Yates in the Pittsburgh bullpen. The question now, though, becomes at what point do you go to that bullpen? The bullpen that has not been all that sharp recently for Pittsburgh. Snell has looked great. He's allowed just one run so far, the home run to Gallardo. In the dirt. We've always felt that pitch counts are a bit overrated. The actual number that's up on the board is not as important as how physically Ian Snell feels. And when you talk about Ian Snell, you're not exactly talking about somebody that is in his 15th year in the league. Snell, 27 years old. The inning started off, we were still scoreless. .1-0 pitch on the way, outside. Now the Pirates know that speed is both on the base paths and at the plate. Duffy has plenty of speed. He showed that in his double back in the 5th. So third baseman Andy LaRoche is playing well inside of the third base bag, a couple steps onto the grass in case of a bunt. And Weeks always a threat to run over at first. Snell comes set. Here's the pitch. And it's lifted in the air. Left field side coming in. Moss is there, finally settles under it, and he's there to make the play. So Brandon Moss retires Chris Duffy for out number 2. So that'll back up the defense, and that'll bring up Ryan Braun. There's the man of the hour, Yovani Gallardo. Gallardo, 9 strikeouts on the game. Gallardo, the solo home run here in this bottom half of the 7th inning. The only run of the game. So for all intents and purposes, it's Yovani Gallardo 1, the Pittsburgh Pirates nothing. Ryan Braun has not had a good day at the plate. He is looking to avoid what hitters do not want to see in the box score at the end of the day. He is 0 for 3 so far. A strikeout looking in the 1st, a strikeout swinging in the 3rd, and a strikeout swinging in the 5th. Even with that being said, still a .338 hitter on the year and putting up great numbers. Besides, no need for offense today. Gallardo is taking care of that. Pitch on the way. Down and away. 1-0. On first is Ricky Weeks. He walked. The inning started off with Jason Kendall flying out deep to left field. Little did everyone know that was only the prelude to the fireworks that would occur just a batter later when Gallardo would finish off the job and hit it over the wall. His solo home run has given the Brewers the 1-0 lead. After Ricky Weeks walked, Chris Duffy flew out to left, and that's where we stand here in the bottom of the 7th. Just off the plate for Snell, and the count now is 2-0. Well, it seems like one of those days for Ryan Braun where he's just not seeing what's coming out of the hand of Snell. And for Ryan Braun, it has been a very long day, although now a visit to the mound from Joe Kerrigan. This was just a little bit earlier. That pitch clearly right down the zone, but Braun didn't like it. Then here, after falling for the off-speed pitch 2 times in a row, goes down on strikes. And the reaction of Ryan Braun is of pure disgust. He just not seeing the ball well out of the hand of Ian Snell on this day. The meeting is complete between Joe Kerrigan and his pitcher Ian Snell. And bullpen action continues for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Sean Burnett, the left-hander, working out in the bullpen. In the background, you still see Tyler Yates. He was warming up a little bit earlier. So between those two men, Pittsburgh has somebody to go to if they choose to lift Ian Snell. Swing and a miss, and there's that tight off-speed pitch that Snell has shown all game. And Braun continues to talk to himself. 2-1 the count. Well, some people say that they like offense. Some people say they like home runs. Personally, I'm a fan of some nice pitchers' duels, and that has been the exact thing we have seen this afternoon at Miller Park between both Ian Snell and Yovani Gallardo. Every pitch seems to take on so much more of a meaning, and clearly the thought process right now in the mind of Ian Snell and Ryan Braun is constant jockeying back and forth. The advantage right now lies with Snell. He struck out Braun 3 times, looking to make it a 4th here in the 7th. On first is Ricky Weeks. Diaz will grab his signs from the dugout and relay them over to Ian Snell. And certainly you could see where Ian Snell could lose some of his timing, the amount of time it took for that signal to get through, but finally decides to go once again with the breaking pitch down and away, and Braun fouls it off. I mentioned earlier, Ian Snell does have a no-hitter. He threw it in the minor leagues. And anytime you get the opportunity to talk about the game of Ian Snell, you find out that he is a pure competitor. In a sense that if you asked him right now, even at 130 pitches, does he want to come out of the game, you will not get a yes. Check over to first, and Weeks with a small lead gets back. After Braun would be the cleanup hitter, Prince Fielder. Again, a long look into home plate. Diaz gives the sign. Snell shakes him yes. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Runner's going. That's a ball. The throw to second is in time, and Ricky Weeks is gunned down at second base with the steal. However, the Milwaukee Brewers take the 1-0 lead through 7 innings, and the reason is because of Yovani Gallardo. He left the yard in a hurry, taking this Ian Snell pitch into the left center field seats. It's a 1-0 lead, courtesy of Yovani Gallardo on MLB.tv. At picturesque Miller Park, the Brewers have taken a 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Pirates. The roof closed because temperatures are in the 40s. It has not mattered because Yovani Gallardo has been sharp. 9 strikeouts through 7 innings. Yes, he now has thrown his 102nd pitch, but no matter. He's provided the offense as well. How about that split? 65 of those 101 pitches have been for strikes. So Yovani Gallardo has been very impressive. Count even now at 1-1, as it will be Ramon Vasquez, Robinson Diaz, and presumably Ian Snell, although at this point now the Pirates need offense, so the pitching performance of Snell goes by the wayside, in which he pitched beautifully as well, too. Vasquez is 0 for 2, a ground out back to Gallardo in the 3rd, and he struck out looking back in the 5th. And a swing and a miss there, so the count is now 2-2. Gallardo set once again into the windup, the 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. And Vasquez not pleased, but once again he becomes a strikeout victim. That's number 10 for Gallardo in the afternoon. And there's one away. One more look at this one. Well, it certainly got above the knees, no question there. And it appears as if it might have caught in the outside corner. But you know what? Regardless, when Gallardo's going as strong as he is, you have to be up there swinging if you're Vasquez. Although now Robinson Diaz gives one a ride, and that one's a one-hopper off the wall. Diaz shows his speed as he'll glide into second base with a stand-up double. So now the Pirates get the tying run aboard here in the top half of the 8th inning. And we are going to get a pinch hitter. Well, Gallardo just simply once again leaves one hanging just a little bit too much. Well, if you're a pitcher, you got to keep that concentration up constantly. And the swing from Diaz has put a runner in scoring position for Pittsburgh. One out here in the top half of the 8th inning of play. And the Pittsburgh Pirates, as I mentioned, go to Craig Monroe to do their pinch hitting duties. Monroe, 286 on the season. Powerful right-handed hitter. He, with one swing, can give the Pirates the lead. He's ahead in the count now, 2-0. The Pirates looking for answers. The question is, which one of those guys will, if at all, come up with one? Diaz has sparked things here in the 8th with one out with his double, but the question is, will they get him in? As Gallardo drops a breaking ball in there for a strike, the count's now 2-1. So Milwaukee's finally thought about their bullpen as well, too, and Carlos Villanueva warms up. Another breaking pitch dropped in there, and the count's 2-2. Clearly, Monroe appears to me as if he's trying to sit fastball, and those breaking pitches are not only effective in fooling Monroe, but also dropping in for strikes, and that is when you are most effective. Monroe does have 2 home runs this year. The 2-2. Called strike 3. A slight delay call, but Monroe, no argument, as certainly Gallardo comes through. His 11th strikeout of the game, and there are now 2 outs. Can't argue with that pitch. Right over the heart of the plate, about belt high. And Craig Monroe, as quickly as he came into the game, exits it. For Nyjer Morgan, it has been a tough day as well. Two strikeouts and an 0 for 3 day. And it has been that exact pitch that has confused Morgan throughout. So clearly, Gallardo, Kendall, and the rest of the Brewers have noticed that Morgan has been unable to handle that breaking ball in the dirt. Once more is that Morgan not only is fooled by the pitch, but continuously takes check swings. If he were able to even connect, he wouldn't be doing much damage anyway. The very same pitch to get Morgan striking out twice already in this game has been continuously used by Gallardo throughout. Oh, and by the way, that one line out was right back to Gallardo, so certainly Morgan not pleased with his day. Ground over to second. Weeks over to first. And he'll get the speedy center fielder for the third out of the inning. So the double by Diaz is wasted. The Pirates with 2 hits, unable to get on the board. Gallardo looking great through 8, and he has a 1-0 lead. This is MLB.tv. It has been all smiles for the fans at Miller Park as they have seen their club take a 1-0 lead as we move to the bottom half of the 8th inning of play. Yovani Gallardo, clearly the #1 star in this game. He has had himself a day. 11 strikeouts. He's allowed just 2 hits through 8 innings. And by the way, the 1 run, well, that came courtesy of Gallardo as well, too. Ian Snell, by the way, he has been lifted thanks to the pinch hit appearance from Craig Monroe. And outside of a shaky first inning, he has had a great day, too. 5 strikeouts, including 3 of them of Ryan Braun. 131 pitches. And again, really outside of that first inning, Ian Snell has looked tremendous. His day will come to a close after 7 innings. He allowed just that 1 run. Unfortunately, it is the difference right now. And he gives way. Tyler Yates makes his way into the game now for the Pittsburgh Pirates. We saw him warming up earlier. He and Sean Burnett were both warming up now. Pittsburgh can elect to go with Yates here and Burnett against Fielder. We'll see what happens. The ERA quite high right now for Yates at a 9.95. But again, the bullpen for Pittsburgh has been their Achilles heel as of late. Ryan Braun, first pitch swinging, a grounder over to short. Play is quickly made by Vasquez for the out. So although Braun had to be happy to see Ian Snell out of the game, he decides to go first pitch swinging and grounds out for 1 away. So Yates will stay in, and that'll bring up Prince Fielder. One-0 Milwaukee out in front. There's another look at the bullpen for Milwaukee. That's Carlos Villanueva. No action for Trevor Hoffman, who picked up his first save in a 6-5 win for the Brewers on Tuesday night. Coming back from injury, you would have to imagine that Ken Macha would like to ease him back into his bullpen duties. And we're also assuming, based on the handshakes, that Gallardo's day is done, although after coming away with his first complete game in a victory over Houston his last time out, it might be nice to see him get that opportunity here against Pittsburgh, but based on what we saw, it doesn't appear as if that'll happen. Fielder ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Corey Hart on deck, J.J. Hardy to follow. Milwaukee looking for some insurance runs entering the top of the ninth. Here's the pitch. High and inside, 3-1. Fielder's reached base twice. He is 1 for 2. Walked back in the first, and he later singled in the 6th, although he didn't score on either occasion. The 3-1 pitch. And that's hit down the third base side out of play, so the count moves full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 away here in the 8th. J.J. Hardy waiting for his turn. The 3-2 pitch on the way now from Yates. Fouled out of play once again. Well, assuming everything holds the way that it is right now, what are some of the post-game comments going to be from the Brewers offense? Not only did Yovani Gallardo get the job done on the hill, but he had to rely on himself to drive in the lone run of the ball game as well. Either way, it's a good thing if your team is out in front. It's a final in Baltimore. The Angels pick up the 3-2 victory over the Baltimore Orioles. They're in the bottom of the 8th at Citi Field. The Marlins back out in front. 4-3 over the Mets. Josh Johnson versus Johan Santana. Fielder laces one into left center field. It's going to get down and up against the wall. Fielder rounds first. He's hustling it to second. The throw will not be in time, and it will not even be directed towards second base. And it's a 1-out double off the bat of Prince Fielder. Fielder just takes a fastball on the outside half of the plate, turns his hands over beautifully, and able to send it the opposite field. There's something to be said about a power hitter who has the ability to change his thought process or the way he goes about swinging and turn himself into a line drive hitter, which is what Fielder did right there. And now he's in position to maybe add that insurance run. Here's Corey Hart. Hart looks at the first pitch down and away, and the count is 1-0. Mentioned that the Mets are trailing the Marlins also in the National League. Colorado has built up an early 2-0 lead over San Diego, and they're just underway. The Pirates and Brewers interested to see what the Cubs do. No score early on in Arizona. Elsewhere in the National League Central, St. Louis gets underway later on this evening. They are in Atlanta. Adam Wainwright against Javier Vasquez in that one. Down low, the count is 2-0. And the other NL Central matchup has Houston in Cincinnati. Edinson Volquez goes for the Cincinnati Reds. He has that NL Cy Young type of ability there. You take a look at Trevor Hoffman, so it appears as if he'll get the day off after closing out game number 2 of the series. That Houston-Cincinnati game, also a 7:10 Eastern time start. All of these games are available to be watched on MLB.tv. The 2-0 pitch now to Hart. And that finds the strike zone, so Yates puts a K up on the board, and the count is now 2-1. Yates, 6'4", the intimidating presence on the mound. Although I'm sure of all the hitters in the lineup, Corey Hart is the one that feels that the least. Hart, 6'6". It has been that kind of a day for the Pittsburgh offense. They have seen 11 Ks go up on the board for Yovani Gallardo and the Milwaukee Brewers. If, in fact, Gallardo's day is done, and we believe it is, 8 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 11 strikeouts. Ian Snell, who's in line, by the way, for the loss, went 7 innings, allowed 1 run, gave up 5 hits, and struck out 5 while walking 4. Both lines more than capable to put up a W for their team on any given day. But right now, Ian Snell looks to be the hard luck loser if everything holds. The 2-2, and that's a called strike, strike 3. Well, if in fact I was right when I said earlier that Corey Hart was 6'6", that might be a bit of a low strike. Either way, he's down looking. Tyler Yates gets him down on strikes, and Corey Hart is out number 2. So with 2 away, that'll bring up J.J. Hardy. Yates entered this inning, relieving Snell, who went the first 7. He got Braun to ground out on the first pitch he saw. Fielder then eventually worked a 1-out double into the left center field gap. And then Corey Hart just went down on strike, so that's where we stand here in the 8th inning. Due up in the 9th for Pittsburgh will be 2, 3, and 4. Freddie Sanchez, Brandon Moss, and Adam LaRoche. Presumably, they'll be facing Carlos Villanueva, who has been warming up in the bullpen. And again, we saw Yovani Gallardo giving handshakes in the dugout. Hit over towards third, but a nice play is made by Andy LaRoche. Throws to his brother at first in time for the out, and the side is retired. So the double from Prince Fielder is left out on the base paths. Nevertheless, to the top of the 9th we go. The Brewers own a 1-0 lead over Pittsburgh on MLB.tv. Well, on Tuesday night, the Brewers got the victory courtesy of that man, Trevor Hoffman, picking up his first save in a Brewer uniform as he induced the 4-6-3 double play. On this night, though, it appears as if Trevor Hoffman will get to rest as Carlos Villanueva comes in a save opportunity. He's 1-2 on the season. In 10 2/3 innings, he has struck out 7 and walked 6. So Villanueva will get the opportunity to close things out. You can say what you like about the move, but it seems as if Ken Macha is going to go true to his word and say he wants to ease Trevor Hoffman back into this position. And after the injury in spring training, the worst thing that can happen right now is to see Hoffman go back on the disabled list, and then the Brewers have to scramble for a closer. So right now, Villanueva will get that opportunity. Hoffman will rest, and the Brewers look to cling to that 1-0 lead that they've built. Villanueva again facing 2, 3, and 4. There's Hoffman taking his rest. First pitch from Villanueva is in there for a strike. Now, what you could ultimately question is not that Trevor Hoffman is not getting this opportunity. I understand wanting to ease him in, but why not go with with Yovani Gallardo to just try to pick up his second straight complete game? Ken Macha hoping not to have to answer that question and just hold on to the 1-0 lead. Gallardo threw 116 pitches, 74 of them for strikes. Whether you believe that's too much or not, that's up for discussion. A 2-1 count now to Sanchez. Sanchez is 0 for 3. Rather, Sanchez is 1 for 3. He reached back in the 7th. Two balls, 2 strikes. Another look at this pitch. Simply swinging over it, and Freddie Sanchez nearly corkscrewed himself into the ground. Villanueva peers in. He's got his sign. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and a step out there by Freddie Sanchez. The Brewers get no rest. They stay home, but they get no rest. They'll be home tomorrow night. As Sanchez does not go for the off-speed pitch outside. It's now full. The Arizona Diamondbacks, who are currently engaged in the final game of their series with the Chicago Cubs at Chase Field, will fly to Milwaukee to take on the Brewers beginning tomorrow night. Milwaukee will then make their way to PNC Park, play 2 with the Pirates, then 2 in Cincinnati against the Reds before coming home to take on the Cubs. Sanchez, a tapper over towards second. Weeks waits for it. Throws to first. Out number 1. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, will leave today from Miller Park, and based on what we're seeing here today, they will be extremely happy to get out of Milwaukee. They will then head home for 3 against Cincinnati, 2 against Milwaukee at home, 2 in St. Louis, and then a weekend series at Citi Field in New York. Here's Brandon Moss. The first pitch he sees drops in there for a strike. Nice pitch from Villanueva. Well, the Brewers would love to have the Pirates on the schedule all year long. The 0-1 pitch. Outside, 1-1. By holding on to this 1-0 lead, the Brewers would, in essence, pick up their 15th straight victory over the Pirates. And since it's in Milwaukee, they'd pick up their 18th straight win over the Pirates at home. Moss, a ground to the first. Momentarily bobbled by Fielder. He tosses it over to Villanueva in time for the out. So Fielder able to hang with the ground ball. The toss over to Villanueva, and now the Brewers are 1 out away. Let's take another look. Well, Fielder did a good job of staying in front of it. The ball just simply hit off the heel of his glove. I assume maybe one of the reasons is at this point in the game in the 9th inning, after the amount of cleats have been running across that area, that the dirt is a little choppy, but still, Fielder able to make the play. So that will bring up Adam LaRoche Brewers fans are on their feet. They have seen a marvelous pitching performance from Yovani Gallardo. They saw a home run from Yovani Gallardo. And now they're hoping to see Carlos Villanueva close things out here in the top of the ninth. One-0 count to Adam LaRoche. The pitch on the way. In there for a called strike. The count moves even. 1 ball, 1 strike. Milwaukee's defense all shaded over to the right side. Lots of room down the left field line and over by the third base bag if LaRoche can go the opposite way. The 1-1. That just misses, and the count moves to 2-1. Everyone in the park standing, waiting for the final out. The 2-1 pitch from Villanueva. That one in the dirt. The count moves to 3-1. Gallardo in line for his 3rd win of the year. His ERA was 3.71 when he entered the game. By exiting the game, his ERA has dropped to 2.86. Gallardo waiting alongside Dave Bush, hoping for one more out. And now a long look in right now from Villanueva. LaRoche comes set. The 3-1 pitch. Called a strike, 3-2. And now the Brewers fans can feel it. Exactly 3 hours after the first pitch was thrown, Brewers fans have watched a 1-0 lead come down to perhaps this final pitch. So Carlos Villanueva puts the exclamation point on a 1-0 Brewers victory over the Pittsburgh Pirates. For Villanueva, he picks up the save. That man right there, Yovani Gallardo, the absolute hero of this contest, 11 strikeouts and the solo home run